Hi everyone, welcome to week 5 of Parenting Inside Out. This week we'll be focusing on family meetings, family traditions, and family identity. Before we begin, I'd like to set aside a minute or two to acknowledge some victories that you had this week. They could be big or small. Some examples could include having an interview for a new job, or that your child went to bed at a reasonable hour. Everything big or small is worth celebrating. Take a second to write down a victory from this week. You can also take this time to practice emotion regulation if you would like to, by referring to one of the videos that we've shared or by doing a practice on your own. Like I mentioned earlier, the topic for this week is family meetings, traditions, and family identity. The first section of our lesson will be focused on family meetings. Some takeaway messages include, children need a sense of family. If parents do not provide children with a sense of family, children may search and find it with peers. In some cases, this leads to children getting into trouble. And secondly, building a sense of family can be supported through regularly scheduled times of meeting together. These family meetings can be used to discuss problems, family work, family values and priorities, and plans for family fun. As we do each week, we're going to take our takeaway messages and turn them into a learning goal. Some learning goals that you could do for this week if you'd like include, I want to come up with 3 new ideas for holding a family meeting, and I'd like to find some new ways to help my child feel valued. One awesome component of family meetings is giving all children a chance to feel celebrated and valued, so that could be one thing that you might want to focus on for this week. Take a minute to write down your learning goal for this week. One thing that makes this topic so much fun to talk about is that all families are so different and unique in their own ways. Take a minute to jot down some traditions that your family has. It could be something big like holiday celebrations or something small like taking a walk every Sunday evening. One other thing to consider is who makes up your child's family. It could be parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, step-parents, half-siblings, mom or dad's significant other, or close family friends. Once we identify who we consider to be a part of our child's family, this will help us identify who's contributing to our family rituals and traditions that they experience. All families look different, and sometimes our children's family go beyond who's biologically related to them. We're going to go ahead and discuss family meetings. Take a second to think about whether or not your family practices family meetings. You may implement this in some way, but you might call it by a different name or do something slightly different. What I'm going to have you guys do now is pause this video in just a second, refer to our weekly email, and click on the YouTube link that's entitled Family Meetings. In this link, there will be attached a YouTube video that shows a family that has an excellent way of practicing family meetings each week. They've got a lot of great tips and a lot of things that you may want to try and implement into your own family. After you watch that video, come back to this video and we'll continue on and talk about some things that we noticed that family does and incorporates into their family meetings. Now that you've watched that video, some things that you may have noticed is that they meet at consistent times each week. They always ask for the children's input. Whether or not they use it is one thing, but they always ask for it. They try to end on a high note, which is really fun. Maybe it's a game or a chant or something like that, and they discuss plans for the week. Discussing plans for the week can be really beneficial to helping your kids have an idea of what their schedule and what their week is going to look like. They could be a lot more likely to be compliant with the rules and the things that happen that week because they have a heads up of what's going to be expected of them. Hopefully there were a few things you noticed that family did that you may want to try with your kids at home. Now we're going to open our yellow workbooks to page 5.1.1. On the very top it says Ideas for Family Meetings. This worksheet outlines many components that go into creating a successful family meeting. At the very top, you'll see it says Getting Set Up. There's so many things that you can do to prepare ahead of time to get set up for a family meeting. The first one could include Plan a time when the whole family can come. If people are going to be gone because they have sports practice or they have other commitments going on, that might not be the best time to plan the family meeting if you know already that people are going to have to miss it. Do your best to plan a time when everybody or most everybody is able to be there. Number 2, set a time limit for the meeting. It should be short enough for the youngest child. You want to make sure that you give adequate time to have discussions and do activities, but you don't want people to get bored and become disengaged. Number 3, create a name for your family's meeting time that comes from your cultural background. This could be a really neat way to incorporate traditions that you have in your family that you'd like to teach your kids about, but you haven't found a way to do that or an avenue to do that. Family meetings could be a great way to give them some insight into where their family comes from. Take this time now to read 4 through 9 and highlight any other things that could be helpful for you when getting set up for a family meeting. On the bottom part of this page is a section that says, Ideas on how to interest your children in a family meeting. Take some time to write down how you could interest your specific children and make them feel engaged and enticed to be a part of a family meeting. I wrote down, let children know that they will have the opportunity to vote on a fun family outing, or assign children to leadership roles. If kids know they're going to be in charge of something, they're much more likely to be excited about it. The next part of this is talking about a family agreement. Just as in class, a family agreement is important for your family meeting. You might start with some ideas, written down where everyone can see them, and invite the family to add other ideas. Examples could be, everyone in the family needs to come, only one person speaks at a time. If you want to discuss something, put it on the agenda. No name calling or put downs. Number 2, ask for other ideas and add them to the list. Number 3, ask if everyone is able to agree with the family agreement. If everyone is able to agree with it, they're much more likely to comply with it if they feel like they had a part in creating it. Read the rest of the steps for a family agreement and highlight anything that stands out to you. On the bottom there, you'll see a spot where you can write ideas for a family agreement. I wrote down, make a poster with the agreement on it and have everybody sign it. If kids are really young, they can do a thumbprint or a handprint, write their name, draw a picture, find a way where everyone can kind of put their stamp on it in some way, and that shows that they agreed to it. The next one is talking about compliments. Starting a meeting with a round of compliments can be a great way for each person to feel valued and special. I highly recommend including a round of compliments in your family meetings. It gives everyone a chance to hear something positive about them, especially if maybe they had a rough week. They might really need some encouragement, and it's a chance for everyone to give and to receive a compliment. Next is fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks is another really fun way to get everyone involved and to get everybody talking. It's really common for in a family, in a group dynamic, for some people to have more dominant personalities and to talk more, and for other people to have maybe more quiet or shy personalities. If you ask leading questions and give everyone a chance to respond, it makes everyone's voice be heard, especially for those people who may not speak up on their own. Some things that you could say include, the best part of my day was, or the thing I liked about our last meeting was. If you flip to the next page, there's a spot for you to write down some more fill-in-the-blank ideas. One that I wrote is, something new I learned this week is. You could make these really practical or really wild and crazy and fun. It's really just a chance for everyone to get their voices heard and to share something. Celebrating successes is another key component of a family meeting. These can be big or small, just like we practiced doing for ourselves at the beginning of this lesson. Write down a few things you would like to celebrate for your kids. I wrote down completing a task you've been working on or being brave and trying something new. It could be something like learning to tie your shoes, riding a bike, winning a spelling bee, anything that has been an accomplishment for someone. Another great thing is just to celebrate character traits. If you've really seen your kids be very patient that week or very kind or very compassionate, those are great things to celebrate and call it in your kids as well. Next, we have agenda items and problem solving. So you're going to want to have some sort of agenda posted or written down so that everyone can know what to expect. Maybe for this week, you're talking about chores and curfews. You could look at this bolded list and get ideas of other things that you may want to talk about during a family meeting. For example, if you have a list of items on your agenda and one of those things, such as chores, creates maybe a conflict or an argument between two of your kids, you may need to have some conflict resolution. That's why if you flip on the next page, we're going to refer back to our problem-solving steps. Steps 1 through 5 are going to be listed out. Those are the same 5 steps that you can find on worksheet 2.2.4 in your yellow workbook. They are as follows. Make a goal statement, brainstorm a list of possible solutions, consider the pros and cons of solutions, make a plan, give the plan a try. So if you find that yourself in the middle of a conflict, use these problem-solving steps to help yourself get out of that conflict. Another great thing is if you have older kids, you can teach them this process and help them facilitate and navigate the problem-solving process. What we're going to do now is anticipate for your specific family meeting, what is something that could potentially go wrong? For example, someone might get upset and leave the meeting in tears. What could you do about it? You could take a quick break and offer some comfort. Another example I put is, everyone's talking at once. What could you do? Remind them that you want to hear all their ideas but can't all at one time. You never know exactly what might happen, but if you anticipate some things, you can feel a little bit more confident in how you might respond if they do come up. Lastly, ending on a positive note. Decide ahead of time how long the meeting should be. No more than 1 hour, less for families with younger children. End on time, even if there are still items on the agenda. Start a new agenda for the next meeting and put the unfinished items at the top of the list. This is a really important thing. If kids know they're only going to be there for an hour, make sure that you honor their time and come back and finish everything up the next time if you need to. Number 3, end on a positive note with a snack or dessert, a riddle, a game, or sharing. Just like we saw in those videos, they played a fun game at the end. Decide together who will bring the fun next time. One person can be selected to bring a joke to share, a riddle to solve, a short story to read, or a game to play, or the family can decide together what to do next time. This can be a great way to incorporate all your children and let them play some role in figuring out, oh, what am I going to get to do to end the family meeting this week? It can be really fun. Take this time to write down some ideas for fun ways to finish the meeting. I put you could watch a movie, play a board game, or have a picnic in the living room. On the next page, you'll see role play scenarios. Ideally, this would be a great time for you to interact with someone that you have at home. If you have another adult that you can read through these with and answer some of the questions, that would be great. If you don't have somebody else, you could take this time to read through them on your own and answer some of the questions on your own, just to help familiarize yourself with some of the things that you could encounter. To end the first part of this lesson, we're going to wrap up our learning goals. I'm going to go through what I put for my learning goal, and you can do the same for you. My learning goal was, I want to come up with 3 new ideas for holding a family meeting. To answer the second question, I wrote, after watching the video and reading through the reference materials, I have many new ideas on how I could incorporate family meetings into our weekly routines. I really like the idea of having a consistent time each week to meet. For number 3, I wrote, I'm going to use the new skills I've learned to organize a family meeting with my husband and our 2 kids. I would like to focus on celebrating successes and helping our kids be more informed about our weekly schedule. Go ahead, take this time, wrap up your learning goal for this week. In the next set of lessons, we're going to be talking about family identity.